My name is Dr. Richard Roberts. I'm head of the Vaccine Preventable Disease Programme in Public Health Wales, and over the next few minutes I want to take you through some of the evidence around extending the dose interval between the first and second doses of coronavirus vaccines and the reason for doing that. So I'll begin by looking at some background information, then I'll look at the statement that JCVI have put out and tell you where to find that, and then apply some of the practical lessons from that science. So we're now in a position in the UK that we have two very good coronavirus vaccines that are highly effective against COVID-19 disease and also highly effective against the severe outcomes of COVID-19 disease, hospitalisation and death. So the JCVI have over the last few days put out a statement to support the recent decision to extend the dose interval from the standard interval for the Pfizer vaccine, which was 3 weeks, up to 12 weeks. And this has been facilitated by a change in the authorization by MHRA. And the authorization for the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine allows it to be given at a dose interval of 4 to 12 weeks. And we'll look a little bit at the science behind that. So the JCVI states that individuals receive high levels of short-term protection from a single dose of vaccine, and that is a consequence of both of these vaccines being highly effective. And you can see that statement online, and I will give you a link at the end of the chat as to where to find that. So for the AstraZeneca vaccine, there is data in the information for healthcare professionals on COVID vaccine under table on page 7, under table 2, showing that the vaccine efficacy from 3 weeks after dose 1 is 73%. The vaccine efficacy for 1 dose of Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine has been published at 52%, but that 52% includes cases in the first 14-day period before most vaccines are effective. And if you just take the period from 15 to 21 days, so that is the week before the second dose, and you take data that is published in the US FDA authorization, so this is available online, you can work out that the protection from 1 dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine is actually 89%. Experts on the JCVI believe that these high levels of short-term protection from a single dose will cover the 12-week interval between the first and second dose. And what that allows us to do is to increase the number of individuals who receive the first dose. And I'll come back just to an illustration of what that means. And there won't be any long-term effect on the efficacy of a 2-dose course. So 1 dose will protect you short-term, but for that long-term protection, you need the second dose. And in fact, the second dose may actually, if you extend the interval, may actually give you more protection. So if you were to go online to the Public Health Wales website and then go to the vaccine section, the coronavirus on the homepage, and then look at the health and social care professional section and the FAQs there, you'll find an FAQ with a link to the JCVI statement. And I just want to take a short look at that statement and just give you top lines from it. So the background is this rapid rise in cases that we all know for the UK and having 2 very effective vaccines, but not enough capacity to quickly deliver the vaccine to all those who need it. So because we have these data that show that 1 dose is highly effective, you then have the option of giving 1 dose for short-term protection to as many people as possible instead of using a shorter interval for a second dose. And the consequences of that will be that many more people receive a first dose. And one way to think about that is if you have 2 individuals who and 2 vaccines, you have the option of giving both vaccines to 1 individual at a short interval. And they, for example, with the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine will be 95% protected, or you could give 1 dose to both individuals and they would be 89% protected. And it's likely that with both regimes, you have high levels of protection against hospitalizations and death. And similarly with the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. So the levels of protection from the first and second doses are actually both around 70%. And again, high levels of protection against hospitalisation and death. So that is the choice, if you like, when you have limited supply of vaccine, limited capacity to deliver, and you have very effective vaccines with one dose. So practically, that allows us to extend the interval up to 12 weeks. For those who've had one dose, those individuals are very well protected for that interval. And then the second dose within 12 weeks will give them a boost for long-term protection. You can work out the number of lives that you would save by this policy. And if you were to do that for Wales, you would come up with a figure of hundreds of lives saved in addition to hospitalisations and so on through adopting this policy. One thing that's not proposed is to mix and match the vaccines. So it is recommended that you have the second dose of the vaccine with the same manufacturer as the first, and you would only ever consider using an alternative vaccine if there simply wasn't the same vaccine available to give a second dose, for example, because of some manufacturing failure. So I just finally want to finish off just reminding you of that link on the Public Health Wales website where you'll find that statement and a summary. And to thank everybody who has had a first dose and is now being asked to postpone their second. It's a challenge to do that, but the data is there to support that decision. And also to thank the health boards for the sort of huge logistic challenge of extending that interval and contacting everybody. But the consequences of doing that are that we can protect many, many more lives through that policy. Thank you.